all sorts of stuff. So
I would agree. I think peace is definitely created. I know a lot of men say they want peace, but usually the men that are like, dying for peace and can't find it, it's either they've chosen super chaotic, but they might be engaging behaviors that are also not conducive
100%.
to peace.
They don't have self-control.
They don't have self-control. They're coming home late, they're drinking too much, they're watching pornography, and then they scream at their wife like, why can't you give me peace? But honestly, when you meet a man who selects wisely and has self-control, peace is an inevitable outcome.
Yes.
He doesn't have to ask for it.
So I'm hearing you say like a man that can have someone meet their predictable needs, correct?
As a form of appreciation.
As a form of appreciation, which there might be women saying, well, how am I going to predict when he can't predict what I want? When he's not reading my mind, when he's not, there for me when I tell him everything's fine, but I actually have an attitude and I'm not showing that everything's fine. How am I supposed to predict and be there for him if he can't do that for me?
Because you have to ask yourself, do I like that he doesn't do that for me? Do I like that experience of him not seeing it, not doing it, so and so? If I don't like it, then surely why would I create that also? Why would I emulate a behavior I dislike? So perhaps you can role model the behavior you like and also manage your expectations. What I mean by this is when somebody isn't predicting your needs, men and women, or isn't doing it, is it deliberate? Is it that, I'm not going to do it for you? Or is it a case of, I didn't know, let me help? So the reality is, are you communicating it before you get angry?
And communicating early on. Not after you're married and then saying, this is what I need. But actually communicating it early on. This is something that I did differently, and so did Martha. We communicated early on, this is what I'm going to need now. This is what I'm going to need in the future. It's not like these crazy needs. No. It's just like, this is to be in a committed relationship, to commit and be all in and be giving and of service and thinking about a future together. Here's what I'm going to need. And here's what I'm willing to do. Here's what I'm not willing to do. And
it's so wild because if any job description, anything like that, we'd want to know exactly what to do in order to get them to get promoted or whatever it is.
And it doesn't mean it's not going to grow and evolve, and there's going to be flexibility. But it's like at least communicate the basic needs.
But people have this arrogance where they're like, if I have to communicate, it's not real because they watch too many movies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what's happening, especially in Western culture, in any other culture, in any other period of time, it's like, of course you tell people what you want. How else are they going to know? But in this world, especially because of movies and shows and songs, it's taught us that if we have to explain it, then that person doesn't love you. They should be able to mind read and predict and stuff. And then it creates the ingredients for a distant relationship emotionally. So I think communicating effectively is essential.
So what is it that if a man truly knew what a woman wanted, they would have a happier, healthier relationship?
It's difficult because it all depends on if you've chosen a woman who's healed and not so chaotic. Essentially what they want is to be protected in a way that nobody else can. And what I mean by protected, it can be financial, emotional, whatever it is. But it's a way, if I'm protecting my woman emotionally, I'm not engaging in behaviors that will humiliate or hurt her. If I'm protecting her financially, it means I'm giving her my best. Doesn't mean I'm giving her everything, but the best I can do. If I'm a taxi driver, I'm, covering what I can cover. But if I'm somebody who's frugal with her, she will always feel like she's more powerful than you. And whenever she feels like he's not protecting, she feels more powerful, and then she becomes disrespectful. But when she has a man that's protective of her, both her safety, her emotions, and finances, she then allows him to take control. And whenever we feel more powerful than a man, we feel unsafe. And that unsafety makes us disrespect him and then look for other men.
Wow.
It's almost evolved. So therefore, if it can protect us in those ways, we remain feeling safe. So it's essential.
So what's the number one thing that makes women feel unsafe from the man they're with?
I would say that showing a complete disregard for her emotional well-being. And that doesn't have to be sleeping. It doesn't have to go that far to sleeping with other women. It might be as simple as not replying to her messages or, behaving online, like liking it. I know it sounds so bizarre, but you'll be so surprised at how unsafe a woman can feel simply by watching whose pictures he's liking and commenting and saving. It's such a simple thing from a man. But from a woman's perspective, it almost ignites her fight or flight response. Is that weird to a man? Does it more for insecure women?
I think to a conscious man, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That you're like, okay, would I like her doing this? Maybe you wouldn't, but maybe it wouldn't matter. Like, for me, it doesn't really matter what she does. To be
because you've established that trust.
Yeah, and And if we haven't created an agreement on something, then she's going to do what she wants to do. And then I would just acknowledge and say, hey, I don't really like this. Can we make an agreement on this?
Yeah.
And we'll figure out what that is. And then cool, we've created a new dynamic, right? But I also just feel confident with who I am.
Yeah.
And so if she's off doing something, which she never has, and I don't think she would ever do it, but if she's off doing something, and I would find out it eventually, and I'd say, okay, well, that's unfortunate, but I guess this isn't the right fit, or we need to figure out how to mend this.
Yeah.
Or I'll be okay. If you want to go live this life, that's fine. So it's just not going to be with me. You know, it's like, all right, it's sad. It's unfortunate. That's
a healthy way to see it, because a lot of people think addiction is a testament to how much you love someone. The fact that you can't let them go must mean you really love them. But actually it means that you haven't established healthy boundaries and you don't have any self-esteem.
But there's also probably like certain things that Martha may want to do that I wouldn't do myself. And maybe it's not like the highest value that I would have, or with my time or my energy or whatever, but it's who she is. It's unique to her. So I'm going to accept her for who she is. And I've chosen